If you have over $200,000 sitting stagnant in your bank, retirement account, or home equity, then you're literally losing money. On this show, you learn how to get that money working for you consistently and conservatively. Learn to grow your nest egg with your host, Sean Winslow. Let's dive in.
Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for getting on here and sharing your time with us.
Man, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Great. How's everything in Dallas?
It's going good, man. It's going it's hot. It's been over 100 degrees for a long time, and I'm ready for the cool weather to come in. So it's been good, though, man. It's been real good. Kids are back to school, and they've been a challenge a little bit, but it's going good, man. Going real good.
Good. All right, let's just get into this then.
Absolutely, man.
So let's get right into it. You're a multifamily investor, syndicator. You've already acquired your first 100+ unit complex. It's at the end of last year. You know, I know you're a hustler, so you're well on your way to acquiring another one. Can you just share with the listeners how you got to where you are today and where you started, how you got into multifamily?
Yeah, absolutely. So my investing career goes back to, I think, where everybody starts. I could be wrong, but mainly is in the single family business. Many years ago, got into the fix and flip, and always knew I wanted to get into buy and holds. Whether it was in those, back then it was the rentals of single family. And made a lot of money, lost a lot of money in the single family world, and realized it really wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. And I had a partner who I still have today back then, and we got to a point with single family, we kind of saw the writing on the wall that we were losing more than we were making. I know that's crazy. We just weren't good at it. I'm being very transparent. But as we were going through this process a couple years ago, I started listening to podcasts, started reading, kind of self-teaching, right? Going online and doing the best you can and trying to find out how I could get into the multifamily space, right? And I came across a lot of different folks out there that were teaching and have done multifamily. But I was a little bit guarded against that. I didn't want to, I hate to use the word, everybody uses it, guru, but I didn't want to just throw money out there to anybody, because there's a lot out there, being honest, that, just take it and put you into a series, and then you're still self-teaching yourself, right?
Right.
So as God would have it, I'm sitting there, and I think on my Facebook, a gentleman by the name of Peterson, on the side over there, come across, every so often. I saw some videos. I think the one that really captured me was he was on the beach building. You've probably seen it, building the sand castles, and the one guy had the single family, and it just resonated with me, right? Yeah. So here I am trying to teach myself how to get into this multifamily space, which to me was scary because it was all about, in my mind, thinking I've got to have a ton of cash. Here's me coming out of the single family world. So last March of 2019, I decided to invest some money into Corey Peterson's class. It's a 3-day class in Arizona. And I did that. When I got out there, man, it was, it was much different. I'm not trying to plug Corey, but Corey has mentored me. I wouldn't be where I am today had I not had Corey's and his wife's guidance, just pushing me, and just the transparency they had. So for that, I respect him a ton. But anyway, when I got out there the first day, it wasn't your traditional big class. It was a small classroom, about 25 of us, I think. Mm-hmm. Anyhow, I'll never forget it. I was sitting on the right side up by the stage, up by where he was up front. And I made a commitment that day when I got there. I just told myself, I'm going to take all of this in and to learn it. I'm going to apply what I've learned. And so for 3 days, man, I remember telling Corey face to face, we're going to do business together. I don't know when, how, where we're going to do business together. And Corey spoke from the heart. He taught everything. There was no selling. I took it all in. I met some folks there, like everybody does in different events, and it was just awesome. So when I left there, there's a couple folks there, Patty Royster and Dave Royster. We really connected. They were some of the students that Corey had, and they had invested passively in some of Corey's deals. So Patty made a comment to me, hey, why don't we put together like an accountability call? Maybe you could set that up to where whoever wants to get on it each week, we'll just say, hey, Sean, where are you at? What's going on? I was like, this is great. Like, this is really lining up with where I want to go, because I really want to get into multifamily. So we got back, we set it up. Probably the first 2 or 3 phone calls that we had was not that great, and we just decided that we were gonna push forward this thing. It was just us, and that was kind of my entrance into the multifamily space. Right, that was the go time right there. So kind of all got started there.
That's great. Well, I'm with you. Corey and Shelly, they're phenomenal people, and they've helped a lot of people. And you're right, they do teach from the heart. They're not there to sell. They just want to, see others successful,
Absolutely.
which is a fresher breath air. And because, like you said, there's a lot of gurus out there that are just trying to, make a quick buck.
So many of them.
But so how do you find that first deal? I know you briefly just mentioned what came to the end of that journey, but how do you find that first deal?
So I have an acquaintance of mine, as I was going through this process of getting into the multifamily space, he would send me really good off-market deals, meaning they're not with a broker. They were actually from a seller. So there was nobody else bidding on them. He'd send us 2 or 3 of them. And after coming through the course, I was mentioning that phone call, accountability call each week, we would go through deals. We would talk about deals. I was just putting everything I learned to use, and he brought me a deal in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it was 108 units. I really didn't really know too much about Tulsa, but I put everything in there and I analyzed the deal and went back to him and said, hey, this might be an opportunity. So it was a good buddy of mine who knew the seller. And he brought me this deal out of the blue, and that's what kind of started the wheels spinning in this deal.
That's great. And
so
from there, like, what happened next? Did you syndicate this deal? How'd you raise money? Did you bring any other partners on?
Yeah, so it initially started. It's a crazy deal, and I'll go through the story here for you. So we had some other investors that we put a letter of intent in on the deal. We had it accepted. We were going to start a due diligence. So it was myself and my partner, and I think it was going to be 3 other partners on the syndication side or on the GP side, and we were going to have to raise about $1 million, $1.1 million for the deal. Everything was going great. We went through our due diligence with these folks. The deal penciled. Everything was great. And got back. We got very close to, we had the PSA drawn up. We got very close to the end of our due diligence period. And for whatever reason, I'm just going to call it life, these other 3 investors, our partners to be, decided, hey, we're just not going to go forward. It was nothing against us, Sean. It just was one of those things where it just happens.
Yep.
For folks listening on this call, I mean, this is the way it goes. Like you just never know, but you just never stop, right? You keep going. And I didn't. Like, I was like, all right. So at that point, I was very disappointed. I was very upset, but I didn't stop. I actually called the gentleman that brought me the deal and said, give me the owner's phone number because I want to call him. And I picked the phone up and I called the seller and I said, listen, we want this deal. Like, I'm going to make this deal happen. I've been talking to some other folks. Give us another opportunity. Well, he did. And I took this deal now that I knew was a deal, and I'd been there, and I brought it to Dave and Patty Royster, who I met at Corey's event. And of course, they went through their numbers and whatnot, and they liked it. We did bring Corey in to look at it. We have his mentorship. We wanted that. That's what you need to do. Is if you're new in this business, you need to have mentors that have done it and paved the path in front of you. Have
100%.
them look at what you're doing. And so we did that. Him and Shelly, thumbs up. Shelly's from Tulsa. So we were like, oh my gosh, this is great. So that's even better. They love the area. And let me back up for a second. So just so everybody knows, this property was about 32 vacancies. Okay. When we were going through the numbers, I just want to set that stage. And if anybody knows golf, it's actually right next to Southern Hills Country Club, surrounded by $1 million homes, but it was a very rough property. Nothing had been done to it. And I say this for at least 2 years.
Wow.
The owner was sick. When we did due diligence, they would put a dog and pony on with the other management company. We didn't know that till we closed. Nothing was ever done. It just wasn't maintained. So it was in disarray. Anyhow, so we back up. So Dave, Patty, we got Corey in, we analyzed it. We go back up to do due diligence again with Dave and Patty and another Patty's brother, who's Chris Kemp, went up to the property, did due diligence again, just reaffirmed how great the deal was. And we started going through the process of closing this deal. And I'll tell you what, it is everything you read, see, hear, or go to these boot camps. I'm not here to knock anybody. I'm giving you my story. It is not what it's all cracked up to be. And I don't mean to scare anybody. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of work involved. There's a lot of things, as you know, that you have to do. And the old saying is true. You don't know what you don't know. And none of us had ever syndicated a deal. So here we are with this 108 unit property, and we're needing the mentorship and guidance of others to get through it. But at the same time, we were going through it. So we got everything done, Sean. We actually went out. We had to raise $1 million. And I'll be quite honest with you. I know you've kind of heard my story. We did do a very good job at that. Typically when you go raise money, for us, if you need to raise $1 million or $2 million or $5 million, about half of that's going to fall out. When the rubber meets the road and you make that call after you presented to your investors and say, all right, we're ready for you to wire the money over, I'd say about half. Something we invested it somewhere else. We decided not to invest. So whatever you need, go double that. Go raise double that in soft races, right?
Yeah, and sometimes it's even more. So I attest to that. Yeah. And you just never know. Sometimes even people just talking smoke. They want to they say they want to invest, but they have no intention or backing to do so.
Yeah. So that's one thing. We didn't do a very good job at that. But again, I'm going to say this throughout the interview here, you just don't know what you don't know. You can read it and look at it. Somebody could tell you, but you have to go through it. Right. So now we know, but we were able to raise a little bit less than what we needed. Just a little bit less, got us to the closing table, closed on the deal, which was, let me tell you what, man, I still get goosebumps. It was December 10th of 2019. We closed on our first property. And I'll tell you what, it was a great feeling. It was phenomenal, man. I've been excited ever since. So.
Well, I know I've said this before, but congratulations.
Thank you, man.
Not a small feat, and you should be very proud of that. And
I appreciate that.
I think just for listeners to know, what he was saying is that he raised enough capital to close, but not to meet his CapEx budget and probably some other ancillary things. So
correct.
You can do that. You can, as long as you raise enough to close, just make sure you're going to be able to raise the rest, because that could, severely hurt the project, which they were able to do.
And we did that after the fact. We got right where we needed to be. It was a small number, but yes, you are right.
That's awesome. So now it gets interesting. Now you own the property. Now you got to make your plan. You got to put it into work and make it happen. But and you've got a fairly sized project. This is not just like a momentum stabilized light value add play. This is like you're repositioning a bunch of units, and then guess what happens? The pandemic happens, man, and you're going through all this. Can you just? I know the outcome, and I'm blown away and impressed by what you guys have done. But can you just take us through that whole thing?
Thank you. Yeah. So we closed, and obviously the first thing So when we close in December 10th, it's Christmas time, right? Nobody's getting ready to do anything. So we had our duckies lined up. We had our contractor lined up. We knew kind of the plan, right? And again, being new to this, we had to execute that plan. So nothing happens contractor wise or any kind of work. We spent, I think our CapEx was about $385,000. Okay. We had 32 vacancies. We're doing some stuff in the exterior. We were going to remodel the vacancies, do some work on the clubhouse, and just really get it to the point where we can raise rents up. Because it was about, on a one bedroom, I think we were about $125 below market rents. Just that's where we were. So January comes, this contractor we interviewed and whatnot comes in there, starts to do some work on the outside and the exterior. And we were like, wait a minute, hold on a second. Wasn't doing a good job. We stopped that, backpedal a little bit, just kind of like pull the plug on doing any more work, to find out that this guy was just doing crappy work. It just wasn't good. Gathered ourselves, Patty, Dave, myself, Chris, my partner. I wouldn't ever recommend this, but we did it. We bootstrapped it. We went and interviewed contractors, every contractor, painter, countertop, resurfacing, flooring. We basically took over now with the management company, decided we're going to go sub out all the stuff ourselves. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but we didn't have time, Sean. We're 40 days into this loan, right? We have a bridge loan on this deal, right? A 2-year bridge loan on this deal at a fairly high interest rate. We needed to get things done to get things rolling, right? So we decided to go ahead and do that. And it was a lot of work. Again, I would never recommend that. But as you said, the outcome, it all worked out. So we're going through, we've got all of our folks in place now. We're starting to remodel. We set up a model unit. Patty did a phenomenal job decorating. I know you've seen it, probably pictures of it. Just awesome. The management company we had in place, I could not be more happy with what they've done. They literally they've been the backbone of what we've done. So here we go, going along, and everything's starting to go great. Remodeling units. Well, what we found out as we got in there is the 32 vacancies, we went to about 45 vacancies within 30 days. Because there's a lot of folks in this property that weren't paying rent. We found leases that the last owner was just giving them a lease and wasn't taking money.
Oh, geez.
So we were now like, oh my gosh, but it was okay. We had a plan. And then, as you said, come February, March, COVID hits.
Yeah.
So to reiterate, 32 vacancies, we go to 40. I think it actually was 46 vacancies.
And what kind of debt do you have on it?
3.1 million was the purchase price. And
what kind of debt is it?
It was a bridge loan.
Bridge. So yeah, you got a bridge. So you're working your butt off to try to get that refinanced off. Yeah.
Yeah. We got a high interest rate. And so here we are. I think we were at about 60% occupancy then, to be quite honest with you. Then COVID hits. And we had gone through a few lease ups and whatnot. Some of our numbers were off a little bit. We made a few, adjustments to our marketing program and whatnot. And then COVID hit. And I'll tell you what, man, I'll be honest with you. I did at the time, for a second. I think we were all ready to just say, what are we going to do? Like, think about it. Put yourself in that position. Like, what do you do? We're thinking, well, can we make our note? I mean, you start thinking about, not that day, but you start thinking in a couple months, if we don't have lease ups, we're dead. Like, what do you do?
Right.
There was a lot of tough conversations with the ownership group. And then the most important piece of that phone call, I'm gonna tell you right now, and you know this, was we have these investors' money on the line. This is people's livelihoods.
Yeah.
They're going through COVID. So it was a scary moment, man. It was a scary moment. But by the grace of the man above, I'm telling you right now, and a solid plan and hard work, we didn't dip at all, man. We've done nothing but gone up. We have gone, let's just call it March, until I think here at the end of August, we will be at about 90% occupancy.
That's incredible. That's
Dude,
incredible.
it's people ask me how, and I'm like, man, hard work. Like I can't put my finger on it. Was it tough? Yeah. But yeah, we probably, I'm going to be, I'll say by October, we'll be at 95% or higher.
That's
And it's
awesome.
going to move a little bit just because we're doing more units. People are moving out. We're actually not renewing some of the stuff. But yeah, man, we could have been at 90 a while ago, but we had a different plan in place. We've got more units. We've remodeled more than 46. It probably ended up being like about 52 units. But,
Man,
and
that's
the whole
awesome.
place is gorgeous, dude. Like I mean, we've had a couple of our investors out there, and they have we've paid our investors the entire time. So
That's awesome. See, there's nothing like the feeling you're paying your investors a return and you're also making a community better for the people that live there. It's incredible.
I mean, the testimonies we've had from just people living there that have been there for 5, 6, 7, 8 years have been like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's the best feeling. Like
Right.
you just said, like, they're like, thank you. Finally, we repair stuff when they call us. It's just been a whole team effort, man. It's been awesome.
That's
to say
great.
the least.
How are you guys leasing up? Are you doing like paid Facebook ads, putting on
So
all
we
the
started,
apartment websites?
yeah. So, we went on the apartment, the apartment websites, and Facebook, and I'm going to be honest, Facebook has been the number one. Me and Patty kind of handle, excuse me, the Facebook advertising. I think I get about, 3 ads running right now, and they're video ads. I get about 5 or 6 a day that are interested.
Wow.
And it's probably 15-20% of that actually that hit applications. And
Wow.
we stopped the online stuff with the .com websites just because we reallocated it to Facebook marketing, and it's been the number one area. I don't know how everybody else does that, but our next deal, I would go I'll have a presence online, obviously, on the .coms, as you were saying, but I'll do Facebook advertising more than do anything. Live videos have helped us on our Facebook page. So we try and do a lot of stuff like you're doing, try and get yourself out so they can see it. So,
well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That seems like a great return on investment to me. If you're getting five a day,
it's crazy, man. And I'm not saying all of them are leasing up. We're getting a pretty good percentage. As you can see, our numbers have just gone through the roof. So they do a very good background check on folks. And we have one leasing agent and one maintenance guy. And our leasing agent has taken that property. She's been there from the beginning, and she is a machine. Like, I don't know how she does it. So
that changes everything. Your leasing agent and manager your property, that makes or breaks your deal. So I'm so happy you guys got both of those.
Yes. Thank you.
So I know you go 100 miles per hour. It's 0 to 100, so the next deal, what are you, and like you said, the big thing is raising that capital to close the deal and fund the deal. So what are you doing to raise money? I know you've said you've had some success on LinkedIn. Could you just jump into that?
Yeah. Now obviously it does help. As Corey says, once you get your first deal, things change. It doesn't mean a magic ball, you're a multimillionaire. I am not saying that. But what it does, it gives you credibility, right? Because it says, hey, Sean's gone through the process. Sean gets it, understands it, right? So by having a deal, that's a small piece. But what I have done is I was never really on LinkedIn until I think the group that we talk in and some mastermind groups have said, get on LinkedIn. So I really built out my LinkedIn page, and I actually do a lot of things on there and private message with folks. I talk to everybody. Like, if somebody hits me up, because I never know who I'm going to run into or who they may connect me with. I've created branded my own website. I have a capture site on there that can capture people's information. I'm networking now with more brokers, more groups, meetups, and I'm actually using my story. I'm telling them what I've done, what I've gone through. The good thing, I think one thing we have, there's a lot of stories out there like this, because we bought a property and went through COVID, and I feel we're very successful with it so far.
Oh, you definitely are.
Yeah, that's a story. So I think that story, and I can bring investors that would back us and say, during COVID, I still got my return on my money. To me, that's pretty powerful. So just like what you're doing for me right now and for yourself, this will benefit me. And it's a story that it's the truth that people want to go, wow, it's awesome. I want to do business with you guys. And so that's what I've really focused on. And the biggest thing, Sean, I'll tell anybody this because I can attest to this because I wasn't being transparent, like just being on, be you, be who you are, male or female, what does it matter what, just be you. Tell people your history, your story. And a lot of us have stories that are probably not that great. Like we all come from different walks of life, right? I learned pretty fast in this business, in the real estate business from when I first started, is to just be honest.
Yeah.
People ask you a question, man, don't fluff it. Just tell like it is.
I love that. And I can see that's a theme in this conversation we're having because you were transparent, honest when you picked up the phone and called the seller. I'm sure a lot of people wouldn't do that, but look at it. It got you to stay in the game with the deal. And then you're transparent and honest with the story of the property. And it's just bringing you, potential investors. So
it is.
Kudos to you on that.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. So, LinkedIn's been doing well. Or are you meeting people in person? I know it's a COVID, so.
I've met a couple folks in person. We've done a couple fairly, I say large, a group of folks that are local here in the Fort Worth area that we've had 2 or 3 meetings with, and they're very interested and very excited. I will say that I know a lot of people say because of COVID, they're afraid that COVID's killing things and it's slowing things down. You know what? My opinion is it's not. The deals are out there. You just got to be more conservative. You got to be a little bit more cognizant of what's going on. You got to make sure you run your numbers several times back and forth. But let me say this, there are a lot of people wanting to deploy money right now. They want to deploy money. They have the money. Don't be fooled by what's on TV and what you hear. Do your own research. Talk to folks like yourself, folks that have paved the way before us. That are saying there is money out there. And I mean a lot of money. There's a lot of money out there right now. So, and
these people know it. There's nothing better than a cash flowing asset in a downturn or in a pandemic, something that's constantly paying you money, keeping up with inflation. Because if you look at history during recessions, for the most part, rent levels have stayed the same. Sometimes they've even increased. So, you're still getting paid that same rate. And there's nothing better than it. And people know that, and they want to get into these deals. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah. People, the news tries to scare you, I think, sometimes with all the landlords not getting paid and all that. You know what? I've seen it firsthand. The government throws things out there to help you. People are always going to rent. You may take a dip. You can't do, but I know there's a lot of things. You can't do better in real estate. It's one of the most secure assets and one of the most secure investments out there. It really is. It's weathered the test of time, and go read on it. Don't take my advice. Go read and talk to folks that are bigger and larger than me. They're going to tell you the exact same thing. You're right.
Well, David, you got to think when the market dips, especially when it's linked to, like the banking world, people can't go out and get loans to buy a home. So what do they have to do? They have to rent. So that's why it keeps that rent stable, sometimes even increasing. So yeah, there's no other place I'd rather be.
Absolutely. I never will be. I'll stay in this forever.
I love it. I love it.
Guaranteed.
Well, that leads right into it. What's the goals for David's future and David's business?
So I've said this. I haven't wavered off of this. So my goal is I want to get to $50 million net worth. Like that's my goal. I want to build a portfolio, and I want to help as many people as I can get into this business, learn this business, and take the ride with me or other folks. Whether it's on an investment side or on a partnership side, but I want $50 million net worth. That's my goal. What does that do cash flow wise? It's probably a pretty good chunk of change. I want to do that in the next 8 years. So I have an 8-year window. My personal goals in 8 years, I want a $50 million net worth of assets that's generational, as Corey said, legacy wealth. I don't want to give it to my kids. I want them to earn it if they so choose, but I want it to be there to allow them to have something that can help them, especially like the times you're going through right now, if they face these tough times again. So, but I really want to help other people because I know you, Tates, Dave, Patty, Chris, Corey, I can name 50 people that come into your life and they give you a platform and opportunity. I want to pay that forward and give that back to people. And however that comes about, I'll do that. I tell folks this, and I throw it out there on your show here, is you can call me anytime. I'm not charging anybody for anything. If anybody ever wanted to talk to me or Facebook message me or LinkedIn, like I said, I'm there. I know you're the same way. Yep. I'm giving you my advice, man.
I love it.
I'm here to help. So,
where can people find you? Where's your website, your phone, whatever you want to give?
Yeah, my website. So I just actually changed the name to brand it. It's Investory, INVESTORY group.com.
I like it.
Or they can find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, or you can just call me if I can give my number. It's 817-876-5628. You can call me, you can text me. Don't be afraid, don't be shy. I won't bite, and I'll answer any question I can. And if I can't answer it, man, I'll direct them to the right hands. So
he's telling the truth. He's a man of his word. I can vouch for that.
Appreciate that.
Well, before I let you go, I have one last question that I always ask everyone. I just like to leave the listeners with an action item, because you know how it is. We're kind of talking before. There's a lot of information out there, and sometimes you just get, paralysis by analysis, or you're just not taking action. You're just constantly learning. So I like to leave everyone with an action step here. So I want you to think of someone who wants to buy their first 100+ unit complex, much like yourself, 8-9 months ago. But they haven't done so, maybe because it's because of some type of limiting beliefs, or what have you. But if you could prescribe something that they have to do for 60 days that would help them acquire that first 100 unit complex, what would that be?
That's a good question. I would advise them to seek mentorship, and what that mentor like myself would say is, get into podcasting, listening to podcasts. And if you don't have the funds for a mentorship like I did, it's still tough, is to take what you're learning and apply it. Take one thing, whether it's finding deals. Let's use an example, I think would be to talk to brokers, or talk to folks like you and I have done it before you. There are people like us that will talk to you consistently. The advice that we give them, take that advice and just apply it, and don't quit. Whatever you do, do not quit. That would be the thing that I did, is like, I was on a mission. I was going to do this, and I'm going to continue doing it. And I just didn't quit. And I talked to anybody and everybody I could. So that would be my advice, is to seek that mentorship. Not saying you got to pay for it, but there are folks you can seek and ask questions to start uncovering things, and then just go do what they direct you to do.
I couldn't agree more. That's what I did. I know that's what you did, and it works. And just be willing to offer, to give before you return, and then it'll come back tenfold. And David's really good at that. Every time I talk to him, I always feel like I'm getting more out of it than he is. And I hate that, because he's just always so giving.
I appreciate that, man.
It's like a good competition. I love it. But hey, thank you so much for your time. This has been wonderful. I know I certainly have gotten a lot out of this, and I thank you for that. I know the listeners will too.
Yeah, it's been an honor, and I do appreciate you having me on here. It does wonders for me, and I know if I can help one person out there get not even their first deal, just to get started, I'd get goosebumps just for that, man. It's awesome. So I appreciate you, Sean. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you, David. Well, have a good one. Thank you.
All right, man. All right. Bye.
Hey, this is Sean Winslow. After being in the financial service industry for years and having candid conversations with good people just like you, I realized that so many of us are wanting an investment strategy that provides solid returns and consistent income without the bumps in the road. There's little known secret that your financial advisor doesn't want you to know. There is investment out there that is less volatile and the returns are stronger. Get more details by going to greenbriercg.com and clicking on the free e-report. And by the way, if this show has provided you any value, then feel free to leave an honest written review, and of course, share it with a friend who needs it. See you next week for another great show.